My name is Andy Hornby, photographer and vlogger. 17 years ago I started teaching myself photography. Today I travel the UK as a professional wedding photographer, landscape photographer and filmmaker. Learn from my experiences, my mistakes and my tips and advice. Okay guys, welcome to another video. I know everyone's been hyping about a couple of images I've put out recently and how I've changed the lighting. So this video is going to be a quick tutorial. I say quick, it might not be that quick, but a tutorial on how to create dynamic lighting in an image and really work with it. But it's not a difficult thing to do. It just really involves a few layers, and we're going to be using a few adjustment layers today, mainly around the curves adjustment layers. So we'll use one or two of those and then maybe do a little bit of color grading to this image. This is Miss Nancy. You've seen me use her as a model before. This was actually taken on a wedding workshop I did a few weeks ago, because I do a one-to-one workshop for wedding photographers who are just starting out and want to know a little bit more about the business. We do a sort of 2-hour photo shoot with Miss Nancy, and at the time it's her boyfriend, so it's a couple, to give you a good idea. If you're interested in that, have a look at my website, link in the description, and contact me and we'll get started. So the first thing I want to do is actually cut Miss Nancy out of the picture. I want to do some bits and pieces of the background, which you don't have to do, but you will need to cut the body out. So choose your appropriate cutting out tool if you like, whether it be one of the pen tool or something like that. I tend not to use a pen tool. I will use the select subject button. It does a fairly good job. It's not fantastic. You will have to do a little bit of work, but if you want to cut forward to the part of the video where we just get on with the color grading and adding the dynamic light stuff, go to this time just here. But stick with this if you want to cut the body out and you want to do a little bit of work to the background like I do. I'll probably fast this forward a little bit. I've got a little bit of work to do here, just to add in some areas that the select subject didn't select for me. So I'm going to zoom in and do a little bit of work, and I'll fast this bit forward so you don't get bogged down with that. Just clean up.
About you. The best thing I did, and I want you to know, was letting you in. From that moment I knew that you were all I missed. Baby, it took just
Okay, after checking all that's done to a good degree, I suppose, we're going to select a mask, and this is going to bring up our my system's a little bit slow today, but we're just going to use the little toggle at the top there just to bring back a few of the hairs. Doesn't matter too much because we're going to be creating dynamic lighting. Most of the back of the head is going to be in shadow. Remember, if you've seen the picture at the beginning, the light is in the flower. The flower's going to be light in the face. It's not really going to be light in the back of the hair, but we'll bring a few of those back anyway, just in case it gets shown potentially in the final image. Let's just bring a few of those back.
the best thing I did, and I want you to know, was letting you in. From that moment I knew that you were all I missed.
Okay, when you've done that and you're fairly happy, like I say, don't worry too much. I'm not that fussed about it. The back of the head, the back of the neck, all the hair down that side, it's not really going to be seen anyway. It's just in case a few of those wispy little hairs come through. So you can see if I turn that off, we've got a little bit of a mask there. As long as the sharp bits on the face, the hands and the flower are intact, I'm pretty happy with that. Just going to make sure we've got all of the body back in there. You can see on the mask I'm actually using white to bring back as much of the body as possible, because when you use the tool in the selector mask, sometimes it takes a bit of the skin away. So now I'm going to select the mask. Let's hold down Control and click on the mask just there, and that brings up the selection. And I'm now going to modify that. Just going to expand it by 10 pixels should be enough. Go to edit, then content aware fill, and we're going to do a good job of taking them out of the background. And the reason why I'm doing this on this image is because if I blur the image with her on it, and you can see that does a very good job there, I didn't have to do a whole lot, it will spill her blur across the background of the top image that we've cut her out. So I don't want that in the image. It's going to take a little while for my computer to get rid of her there. And now, there you go. And actually it does a very good job. Get rid of selection, turn the top selection on. You can see that she's now, we need to combine the layer that we've just taken her out, those two layers there. So we're going to just merge down that layer onto that layer, and that's one whole layer with her cut straight out. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can still see a little bit of a silhouette, but it's enough that when we blur, and I'm doing a tilt shift blur with this just to grade the blur from the background there. It does a very good job of blurring her too, so you don't see her, especially when we turn the top layer back on in a second once this has done its job. Let's just move that back a little bit. I want to get a bit of the water still slightly in focus, give or take. But this is all down to personal preference. You don't need to do this bit at all. Let's just okay that. That'll take a few seconds. My computer's doing other things in the background. As always, I'm doing more than one thing at once. And there we go. So if we turn the top layer back on, she's now in front of a nice blurry background. Good eye.
From that moment I knew that you were all I missed.
Now I need to start working on the lighting. So what we're going to do now is open up a curves adjustment layer. Not that button. It is there. Curves. There we go. So the idea here is to bring down the light in the whole image, but now I've got two layers. We've got her on one layer and the background layer, so we have to do this part twice, but we want to get them exactly the same. So let's bring down the light in there. So bring it right the way down, bring a little bit down in the midtones too. Have a play around, see what you think. It's going to be different for your pictures probably, so you won't be able to use exactly the same settings I've got here. But I'm looking currently at the background. It's affecting her too, and I want it to affect her too. So we have to do this step, and we're going to go to the blues channel, bring down the blue. So we bring up the blues in the highlights, bring up the blues in the shadows. Don't forget it's dark, so we want to bring up the blues because the blues do come up at night time. If you go to the red channel, bring the red down. It's going to add some cyan to the highlights, and with the green, it's going to bring down the greens and add some magenta, because magenta is opposite to green in both the highlights and the shadows. So you see there it's affecting all of the image. We're going to have to duplicate this image. Let's go duplicate layer, click OK, put this layer beneath our subject so it's affecting the background, but now we've got double effect on her, so we actually need to clip this top one. So we need to hit the clipping mask, so this layer, the curves one, not the copy, only affects our subject. So there you go, so it's not affecting the background. So the curves one copy is affecting the background, and the curves one is just affecting our subject. And the reason why we do this is because when we do bring the lights back up in a second, when we mess around with the mask, it only affects her, not the background. The background will always stay the same darkness, same shadowy darkness and colour. Have a little play around with the background just to get the background looking a bit better. Fine adjustments, and her, I think she's doing okay. Okay, so now we need to select the brush tool. We want to change that to black because black is going to be taken away. So we need to work out where the light's coming from. The light's coming from there, which is where we're going to have the light. So it's going to affect the face first, just there. So we need to start working back, and you see I've got the flow set down to 5. I'm using the mouse or touchpad actually. I'm working on all the areas that I think the light is going to hit None of the areas that I think the light won't hit, because we'll deal with the shadows later, but at the moment the light is going to hit in a few of these places, and at a flow of 5, this is all I want. This is just our first level of bringing back the light, and we'll do some more levels in a little while, and we'll concentrate on more sort of specific areas where the light is going to hit and be a problem. Sorry about the noises, I've got notifications turned on in the background somewhere. So keep going, keep having to think about where you think the light is going to hit. We'll add the light last, so don't worry about that at the moment. The light is going to become, but think of the flower being our light, and this is where it's going to hit a few of these places. Shoulder. Let's have a look. A few more bits and pieces here and there. I'm going to add another curved adjustment layer above this one, and we are going to bring up the highlights just like that. You see this is affecting the entire image. We don't want to do that. If you hold down Option I, is it Command and I? Do apologise. It will turn the mask off for the moment, and go to the blues channel again. Bring down the blues and just have a look, see what it's actually doing to the whole image first. I'll clip it in a second. Bring up the reds ever so slightly. It's adding a little bit of warmth to our image, which is good. Clip it so it only affects our subject. Again, this is now only affecting the subject. We've clipped it, so it's not going to affect the background. We're going to start bringing some of that warm tones back in. There we go. Think about where the light's going to be hitting your subject. In the cheeks. Yeah. The chin. Just round by the mouth and the nose especially. Let's go bigger and get a more global facial lighting on the hand. Again on the chest. See, it's bringing more of those nice warm tones back in. Again. Work on the eyes. The eyes would be getting a little bit more. There you go, bring the eyes up a little bit. Gonna add another one. So another curves adjustment layer. Let's say get rid of that. It should be a curves adjustment layer. Actually, I'm going to start renaming some of these so I know what they are. So this is my background. This is the body darker. And this is my warmth. Yeah, right then there. Warmth. You can name these whatever you like. I'll add another curves adjustment layer just here. Gonna name that Extreme Highlights. So these are going to be areas where I think the light is going to be hitting the most extreme and most heavy. I want to say heavy. So really close to the light, how the light's going to be hitting the skin in certain areas. So I want to make sure this is going to be very, very bright. Bring it right up. See what that's doing there? Right up. It's extreme highlights. That is extreme. Let's clip that so it just affects the body, and then we'll hit Command I. There we go. So it's turned off for the moment. So we're using a brush with the white selected, and we are still at a flow of 5, and we're going to be bringing back some highlights just in the areas where we think we might turn this up more than 5 in a second, but these are the areas. Let's go up to 15 that are closest to our light source, or areas where we think the light is going to be hitting the most extreme. Let's zoom in a little bit. There's a few blemishes on the skin. We'll sort that out in a bit. On the chin, everywhere it's going to be front facing to where the light is. Underneath the nose there it's darker, but we'll bring that up. So let's bring up a little bit in the eyes too, and on the forehead, and even around the eyebrows area. More chin. Now there's a shadow there from the flower on the chin anyway, just underneath her lips. We'll keep that because that's not going to be affected. Let's start looking at the hands. Yeah, certainly front facing upwards towards where the light source is coming from. I might have overdone that. We'll have a look in a second when we zoom out. Bit more there. Get down a bit more. You notice I'm using flow and not opacity. Flow I think works best in this given situation because it means I can keep going over and over, and it adds a little bit more every time I go over and over. It may be a bit too much, I don't know. It looks fine. I'll leave it for the moment. Go a little bit bigger. Flows down to about 7, and let's just add a bit in the areas we think are going to be really front facing to the light. Up a little bit. Yeah, the hair there doesn't look too good. I've got a few strands of hair that I might have to have a mess with. Let's go back to our original. Let's take that out, swap to black. Just going to take a little bit of these erroneous hairs that they're not doing anything for us. Put the flow up to 100 a second. Let's get rid of that. We don't need that for the moment. And a bit down there. Yeah. Obviously these are front facing. We're back to our extreme highlights. So a little bit on the flowers, stems, and yeah. Let's turn our flow up. So flows up a bit more. Just down a little bit where our light source is going to come from. Obviously even the flower looks good, but it's going to be well overexposed when our light gets put on it later, so we can add a little bit more into there. A bit more on the nose again. A lot of intricate work. You don't have to go this far. I'm just being picky really. That's maybe a bit too much. Let's bring the flow right down. That's quite high. So just a few areas that are going to be getting, you know, direct light hitting it, especially on the edge of these. There's this plait. We'll do the shadows in a bit, so the other side of this plait will get some shadow work done to it. Let's see. I think that's coming on really well. Obviously I'm being over picky. I'm going a little bit faster than I normally would, but I'm still being quite picky about where my light source is going to be coming from and what it's going to be hitting. Let's just get rid of a few of these blemishes. You'll notice I'm actually on the original cutout of her, not the mask itself. Just a couple of blemishes to get rid of. And there's an erroneous hair there that I don't like. It's gone. Not paying too much attention. Again, this side of the head and face is probably going to get a little bit of shadow work done to it in a second, so I'm not overly worried too much. Skin blending and stuff like that, smoothing, I don't really do anymore. I used to do back in the day, but if you zoom out and have a look, see how it's coming on, that's not too bad actually. I like it. It's getting there. I'm going to go back to our original colour, add a bit more. That's a bit too much. So our flow's a bit high. Let's go on my computer. I'll turn our flow down a bit and do a little bit more work on the arms. They would be a bit lighter potentially this side. The other side again, it's going to get a bit of shadow work done to it, so I'm not too worried about the other side. So this shoulder, the arm, potentially a bit of the forearm. Let's have a look. Looking good. Yeah, do a bit more. If it needs any more, maybe a bit too much. That's too much. Whoa, delete. Oh, my computer's playing up again. I'm doing stuff in the background, other stuff. Sometimes in Photoshop the original image shines through. You get to a point where you're happy, zoom out, zoom in. Yeah, I think I'm overly happy. I'm not overly concerned about too much more. Let's add our last final curve. No, not levels. Stand by. Curves. Adjustment. and this time we're going to be doing the shadows. Let's bring them right down. Just have a look at the body, see what it does to the body. Obviously it's clipped already, so I'm just going to move that to the top. I like to keep it in order. So Command I or Control I again will invert that so it turns it off for now. So we can now take a brush with using white and bring back some of the shadows. It's a little bit like dynamic dodge and burning, potentially something along those lines. Let's up the flow a bit more. There we go, looking better. So the back of the neck, the hair, around the back of the arm. It's all going to be in shadow underneath the forearms of these. The other hand potentially is going to be out in shadow, and a little bit on the dress. I need to go a little bit smaller just to get in to there. Just a little bit of dress. Up the flow again. A brush a bit bigger. Just a bit more in there. You could do being slightly darker. Zoom in. Let's have a look at the back of this bit of hair. So yeah, flow down a bit. The chin and neck. It's going to be in shadow. It's nice. The back of the plait. Go. Nice. Oh, back of the neck, back of neck and shoulders. I'm getting very picky. Obviously, you don't need to be this picky if you didn't want to be. You see now why I didn't want to worry about the hairs at the back there. They're not really in the picture as such. Yeah. Okay. Next thing I do, you may not want to do this, is a colour lookup. It's going to give a global colour, and edgy amber is what I'm going to be looking at here. And you'll have to play around with blend modes potentially, and with the clipping it's going to be no good. I want this to, well, let's clip it first and see what it looks like on her, I suppose, and then we can see if it looks any good for the whole picture. So let's use a bit of fill. Bring the fill right down. Sorry, opacity for this one. Bring that right down. Just adds a bit of colour grading to the skin. Nice warm tones. Just keep an eye on the skin. That's all. And globally, that looks good. So we undo the clip mask, bring it up a bit more. Yeah. I'm never happy, so find what looks best for your image. It's not going to be the same as mine potentially. Add a new layer. This is where we're going to start adding the light. So bring the feather, bring the flow back up to 100. A couple of dots of white in there, and don't worry about it so much at the moment. We can move it in a second. We're going to change it to color to linear dodge, so you add and have a mess around with the fill. So we can bring back a little bit of the flower so it's not completely overshadowing the flower. Do another curves adjustment layer above this, and we're going to change the blues. Bring the blues down. We're just going to add a bit of yellow to the whole image at the moment until we clip it. When we clip it, that's just going to add it just to the light. So we're bringing the color of the light down to the warm tones. Now Have I dot in there? No, there's too much in there already. Okay, that's fine. Bringing the fill down. I'm just having a mess around. It's completely up to you. Your picture obviously going to be different than mine. Gonna have a mess around. We're going to just make this a little bit bigger, which we can do. Bring that back into the center there. Now you see some of the light spills onto the face, which is good too. That's going to help. And I've added another layer there. Just add another dot of white in the middle there, and again change that to linear dodge. Bring the fill down just a touch, just to bring a little bit of the show a little bit of flower behind it. Can't really do that if you're using opacity, so fill is better. Zoom out, zoom in. I think that looks really good. Pretty much there, I would say. So there you have it. Very simple. It's not difficult. It's just using curves. Okay, we had a little bit of a color lookup in there too, just to add a little bit of warmth, but really simple, using curves, not difficult at all. Most images you'll be able to do this. You don't have to cut your subject out. You could, especially if she was front facing, you wouldn't necessarily need to cut her out, but it makes it easier if you want to clip all of the adjustments just on the body, so it doesn't affect the background. If she was front facing, obviously you would just be able to hit the front of the face. You wouldn't necessarily need to cut the whole body out as such, but for me it makes it a little bit easier when I do this little bit of work, because I can clip everything I do just to the body, or just to a certain part of the image, and that's simple. It's not difficult whatsoever. Anyone can do this. It's just using layers. It's not difficult. I hope this helped you. If it did, please hit a thumbs up. If you've got any comments or questions, please leave them down below. More than happy to answer any questions. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe, hit the notification bell to get updates every time I upload a new video. And you guys are awesome, and I hope to see you in another video soon. Take it easy. Here is the before and after once again, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. Take care. Bye. You're still here. Nice. It's good that you're still here, because I want to tell you a little something. Those people who are avid followers of me, I want to give a little something back, and to do that it means working alongside you online, because a lot of you can't make it to my workshops. So I've just set up a Patreon account. It is patreon.com/Andy Hornby Photos. So Patreon is a platform where we can create stuff together, even if you're halfway across the globe, and I can learn and teach alongside you, literally alongside you. There's so many things I can do to help you get your photography just to that next level. It is awesome. If you can make it to one of my workshops, I've got a website. Go to ahphotographyworkshops.uk and have a look, see what I've got going on. But if you can't make it to one of my workshops, Patreon is a really good platform where we can create stuff together, and we can take your photography to another level. So if you like what I'm doing and you want me to learn alongside yourself, see you there. Take it easy, have a good day. Bye.